There we go.
All right, so the first order of the agenda is if there are any owner comments. And so if there's anyone present on the call that's an owner that would like to speak, please do so now. Introduce yourself. All right, doesn't look like we have anybody in attendance, so we'll move on to item 3, to adopt the agenda. Do I get a second? All right, thank you, Tom. All right, so the first order or item on today's agenda is to review of the committee charter. I think there's been some background communication going on behind this that might be related to this. So, Dom, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Daniel, I'm not sure if you got to see the charter for the committees and the purpose of the committees. Just to, you know, just to reiterate, the committees are in easy terms, just to say our help with the board. The management will provide solutions. I guess you can say this is be a friendly banter between the two groups, try to understand what the management is trying to offer with the requested items or solutions required, and we come up with a proper agreement, and then bring that hopefully aboard to the board and have the board approval. Obviously, anything with the board, getting a committee buy-in as well will help the board obviously sway to an approval. Sometimes the board may feel different, but that's their choice. Obviously, the board has final say. But for day-to-day operations, the management has priority say on it as long as it's under the allotted rules. But for committees help, as always, when there's bigger projects, we always want to make sure that committee and board members are all in agreement on things that we do. So that's pretty much it. If you've not seen the documentation for what the committees are, Daniel, just let us know. I think most of us have read it over the years. Some know it way better than I. I'm still wet behind the ears, as for some. But that's pretty much it. It's just a review of that, and I just want to make sure that we all understand that we're all on the same boat. Anything I offer, anything I recommend, it's with many, many years of experience, and also making sure that it is with the with the community in mind, and longevity of systems, and forever for any information required to manage these systems, even if I decide to leave or you decide to change management, the documentation will be there. It is a Celebration owned products, but the management has to maintain it and keep it up and running. At the end of the day, there is only truly one person at this time who's monitoring and managing all of Celebrations, apart from Artisan Park, all the other systems. So anything that I recommend is all because of ease of use for anyone, even non-technical. They should be able to monitor and see the ease of using things. So that's my goal. We're here as a team. We're here together. And that's pretty much it that I have to say about that. If anyone has anything else, please feel free.
Okay, so I think we're all, I guess, kind of in agreement as far as just the general committee rules or charter that's outlined. I think so that's fine. There's been some background discussions about potentially proposing a resolution. that might sort of be related to this topic. Just for the purpose of expediting this meeting, I think I might just reserve some time during the committee comments to maybe re-bring up that topic, just to have a quick discussion. So if that's okay with everybody else.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the next item, which is the celebration.fl.us email address that's currently being provided to residents. I guess, Dominic, there is an open question on whether or not we could sunset this, I guess, domain and recoup the material costs.
Yeah.
Do you want to
there's
maybe
a
go into
mater-
that a little bit more? Because I don't think Daniel was present at the last meeting, so there might be some backgrounds that might be worth sharing again.
Sure. Just as a quick background, I think back in 1994, when Celebration was designed and built by Mr. Walt Disney's area, they created this email account for all the citizens, all the residents of Celebration to get one. But it looked like it never really took. And now it's just a non-cost effective product. There's only 23 maybe active users, with some people who haven't accessed it in 3 months now. There's 5 people who have not accessed it for 3 months. We also, at the end, in the operational side, I don't think anyone really saw it at first, but in the IT background, the DNS, we're having some DNS issues that I've been plugging fixes with by manually hard coding server names, device names, just to keep the DNS going. We currently have them as a .local, which and in reality, it should be celebration.fl.us as a proper DNS. But due to the fact that it's being used by 2 systems, Microsoft's trying to pull it as their email system, and Google is pulling it for its purpose for emails. So we have 2 systems fighting for the same thing. So if there's emails that happen to fail, it's due to the fact that we have 2 systems trying to grab the same domain. We have pointers for pointing to do both of them, so that kind of helps. But once we put in the security ends in to protect us from spoofing and all these other bits, again, this is all operational side, it's causing a headache for me for making sure you guys get your emails. So if we were to remove it, I definitely will see a lot of issues go away, and we can then actually start encrypting a lot of our data, and our domain can be encrypted and can be a HTTPS backend, and as well as the DNS services can be now encrypted as well. But at this time we can't, because it's an internal DNS only, and certain services don't like the .local function.
Sure.
So now that we've only got these 23 users and 19 or 18 active users, I feel that there's no real purpose for it, and we can recoup the money and use the services as we should.
Yeah, so I had an action item to follow up with Bill and kind of have a discussion with him on this. I mistakenly thought that we had another week before our meeting, so I didn't get a chance to follow up with him directly. Bill, I wanted to, I guess, allow you to weigh in on this, but the question I guess I had earlier is we have, or are potentially homeowners going to get upset that do have this account if we kick them off? And so is there some, do we need to take that into consideration? And if we do we need to potentially notify these individuals that, hey, we're gonna remove your account, so this is a 30-day warning? and so forth. So yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with suggesting it. I think we just need to give as much advance notice to the users because I think the way and Tom Hall, you might have more insight on this. I think the way this was purported to the residents is, hey, this is the email you can use. Probably was set up under the old free version of Google Apps for Business, but as we know, Google has been slowly pushing people off the free and started charging them a monthly fee. I think it's going up to like $8.25 per user account per month. I think we do need a little bit more information. Obviously, how many users this is going to affect, and we need to communicate to those users that this is going away. I'm totally fine with doing it. It's just how we do it and when we do it. So, Dom, I saw your email that came in to Lauren about adding it to the meeting. If we need another 2 weeks to talk about this or come up with a plan, I'm totally fine with that too.
Sorry,
Back
I'm
to you.
answering.
Back to you, Dom.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, like I said, there's 19 actively using users. Then there's 5 that haven't touched it in the last um 3 months, and then there's about 15 users who have been put on inactive usage because they haven't touched it in years. So no one's complained that they haven't been able to access their emails. So I mean, they haven't touched it in years. I'm assuming they don't even live in Celebration anymore. Um, we did have one user come back and say that, yeah, you can cancel my emails because I haven't lived in Celebration in years. So pretty
When you
much,
say, I'm sorry, when you say they are active, are you looking at just the login from the Google front end, or like
yeah,
if
we're
they're
looking at the Google portal. So the administrative side. So I see when they access their emails, the last, in the last 90 days or more, you can see that they've logged in yesterday, this morning, they checked their emails, things like that. So you can
if they
actually
had
see
if
that.
they had a IMAP or something, I don't think it will show up there. But I would talk to everyone. I mean, just to send out an email for each one saying that we're going to, uh, sunset it. I don't see why we should not, because as you said, some people doesn't even live here anymore, and it's hard to keep track of this.
Yeah, we're paying about $300 a month
Yeah.
on this service. Um,
Yeah.
so if we can get the board to agree, and then once they agree, we can come up with a plan on how we'll do it. It doesn't have to be right away. I mean, we could do 60-day notice and say, hey, you got 60 days to move your data. And I don't think, even if we were to cancel their accounts, I don't think it gets deleted right away. I'll look and see if there's a service we can provide them by pulling the emails off and saving it to a memory stick, and they could take it and use it somewhere else and use it on a different email service and upload it back up, however they want to do it. They could pull it down themselves, most likely. But we can plan that. Before we can tell them that we're going to sunset it, we would definitely like to have the board agree. If we're in agreement and if you guys are in agreement and they are in agreement, then we'll plan it out and we'll say with, 60 days, 90 days, and we'll just get it over with.
Dom, could you circulate to the tech committee the email addresses in question?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, so I guess we'll take an action item to, I guess, potentially reach out to um, these account holders, and then Bill, I guess, I don't know when the next opportunity is to, I guess, speak to the board about this, if that's something that can be discussed in the next meeting as like a special item, or just to kind of bring it to their awareness. Bill might have stepped away for a second.
Yeah, as he is a board member, he can add it as a last minute item tomorrow. If he wants to do it tomorrow. It's up to him.
I can bring up the topic tomorrow. That's what the workshops are for, is to bring up the topic.
Okay. So I guess, Bill, I'll let you circulate this along the board, and then you and I can follow up on, I guess, their thoughts, and then we can potentially develop some kind of notification plan, and
Yeah.
then a larger plan for how we might want to roll it out. So,
Yeah.
And I think if there's any issues that we might be able to do some email forwarding for a few months so they don't lose. I mean, I don't know who it might be if they use that actively, that might be an issue for some of them.
I'm anticipating that there's going to be a vocal minority that's going to be very loud, as is life, right?
Yes.
So
okay. All right. Sounds like we have I guess, a plan forward. Do we want to continue to discuss this any further, or do we want to move on? Okay. No disagreement. So I guess we'll move on to the next item about the celebration.fl website. Dom, you want to kind of update us?
Yeah, so I kind of pushed this back to the comms committee and the comms manager and marketing person, because it is a kind of like a two-pronged project. It is a Kanoa slash Croa project, because well, the previous comms manager felt that our celebration website was a bit lacking. So that was where we were starting off with that. And then Kanoa came in and asked us to get someone to host a brand new visit celebration website. So we've gone to the vendors to ask them questions. Now that we have a new comms person, she has kind of looked at this and now is trying to look at the bigger picture. It shouldn't be a two-pronged project. It should be a intertwining project with different aspects, in the sense of how celebration should be looking like. Instead of looking like a document only site, it should be a real celebration site where it tells about celebration itself, and separate the committee stuff so that only people interested in committee information should log in and see that, but everything else should be neighborhood based. And then the Kanoa side, which is the business side, is for visiting celebration and what celebration's all about. So she's going to look at that, and they have a couple of vendors who've put in some quotes. So we're waiting to see what Kanoa and Croa intertwining process should look like. And then I guess we can kick it back towards us to figure out the rest. But at this moment, they're looking at how the storyline and how the website should look and feel. So unless we're marketing experts, I don't think there's nothing much we can say at this point. Let's get them to figure out how this should work, and then we can go back to the technology side to figure out the rest once they know all the new stuff that they want to do, what the purpose of the websites are going to be. And that's it from me at this point. I figured no need to talk about it until they want to bring it back into our laps.
Sure. Maybe I can reach out to the comms committee person and just kind of introduce myself, and we can kind of have with you some kind of just back channel communication on just kind of like the plan.
Yeah.
Until it starts to formulate to something a little more concrete. Okay, so we can go ahead and move on to the next item. Committee members reach out to other committees to see what the IT and tech committees can do for them. So I had an action item to reach out to the other community members. Like I said earlier, I had mistakenly thought that our meeting was a little later, so unfortunately, I do not have a status update for my effort on this, so I apologize for that. I don't know if anybody else has done any outreach themselves, so I guess we can kind of open it up just as a group discussion if anybody else has any thoughts or opinions.
I've asked within management teams here to like give them a nudge here and there to say, hey, ask your committees what tech can do for you. And if they don't want to communicate with us directly at management, they can talk to tech committee members. They can all just email the tech committee email, and they should be able to reach any one of you and myself with any ideas that they might want. So I will continue to push and try to get my team to come back and see if they got any answers so that we can help and get them to, I guess, like I think Andrew said the other day, and just get everyone to Artisan Park or something, have a meeting there and just have an open forum and brainstorm.
Sure, that's a great idea. And so yeah, we definitely look into that. And I myself probably need to just do some in-person introductions and go to some of the committee meetings and just introduce myself and formally extend our invitation for, ideas or whatever and assistance if they need it. So I will promise to have a better action results for our next meeting on that. So. All right, so the next order of business is digital IDs. And I guess a formal recommendation to the board. Dominic, you want to, I guess, fill us in on that again, please?
Yeah, sure. So the information was given in the last couple of meetings. And then Tom and Bill have gone through doing an audit through our Gallagher system to see how many different residents access our
All
amenities.
credit goes to Tom. All I did was mess with the data a little bit. Tom did all the hard work.
And I thank Tom for that, because that's that even got me a little bit trying to figure that out. But with that information that we have now in hand, and I know this is going to go to Bill because he's now our treasurer, not only our tech advisor, but our treasurer. Is this product worth going after? Is it worth going to spend the $50,000 and change to get the benefit to save some money on the licensing costs and things like that? Or is it just simply a nice to have now do with the information we know today?
So I will give you the latest word as I understand it from all cycles and circles.
Mhm.
Yes, we want to do it. The question is, what license volume do we purchase first? So is the tech committee recommending 1,000 digital IDs? Because you have the quotes. I think it's like 1,000, 5,000, 8,000 are the
Yes.
levels you had quotes for. And the finance committee's recommendation is that we charge a fee for it to the residents. So I think kind of where the rubber's meeting the road is, how many do we buy up front? Do we just buy 1,000 at a higher cost per license? I think the finance committee would appreciate that, because if we don't have super adoption of this, then we'd just be sitting on a lot of licenses that weren't going to be used. But it is something that we told the community as a selling point for going with Gallagher this round. Tom, your thoughts, comments?
Well, the only thing I would say is that this conversation has been had. I thought, no, we didn't really vote, but we discussed it. And I think everybody was in agreement. We know what the numbers are. We know that's 4,000 residents use it more than once per month. And then we have further breakdown than ever, but that based on that number alone, just recapping what I think we've already said was, why don't we go for the 1,000? We recommend if the finance committee needs technology committee to help them make a recommendation, we said, hey, go get 1,000, but put a provision in there. If it turns out to be more than 1,000, then the delta to the next increment, which was it 5,000, Don?
Yeah, but they won't go that
They
way. I've asked that question.
won't give us the money back for the difference?
No, it's
Okay,
either you buy it or you don't. That's that I even said, can we say that we would like to buy 8,000, but not all at once? We want to buy it. So the way that the Gallagher works and is you buy the licensing up front and it's yours. You use it. You're paying for the reoccurring costs every month, every year. But they offered to cap it for us if we were to buy 8,000 straight today. So if we were to buy it today, they would cap the licensing cost at the 8,000 limit, and we can go up to 30,000 licenses without paying for more MSA costs. So
well,
I think
don't
that's great.
I don't think we've
That's a good
ever,
option,
we've
but I
ever
don't
recommended
see it.
anything in that volume, because the data shows that we only had 7,000 users, unique users in a 6-month period. So I don't think we would, and that would be if we had 100% embracing of this technology and that everybody switched, we would still only have 7,000 people that use it in
Yeah.
a 6-month interval. So we would never have recommended anything like that. The number was
Yeah.
1,000. This is the first I'm hearing that we can't claw back the money. That's a question we've asked for 2 months. But suggestion always had been, go for the 1,000 and try to get the money back. You're telling us now that you can't do that. Okay.
Yeah, I've asked that question. They came back finally with from Gallagher. They would. So the problem is if they were to buy the licensing, they would have to sit on those licenses that no one could use until we decide to buy them. They won't return them because we've signed the contract and that's ours. So the other option is, the only way I can see a benefit to this is if we make this mandatory. But then again, there's also cost to this. So for me, as my recommendation with the numbers we know today, buy the 1,000 and just buy them in those increments, and unless we buy it at a small increment, if we're only getting, say, if we would buy 1,000 and then we use up the 1,000 licenses within, say, 6 months to a year, then we just buy 1,000 at a time, like we buy the ID cards today. But if we were to buy 1,000 IDs, digital IDs, and we sell out within a month, then okay, then there's a thought here to say, okay, well, maybe we should buy a little bit more than we should, than 1,000. Do we just go up and buy the 5,000? That saves us some money. And
Yeah,
it's not a lot of
ultimately,
savings.
ultimately,
going to-
I think,
Sorry,
I think
are we
the
going to
cost is
charge the
going to be,
residents?
yes, we're going to charge the residents for the digital IDs. So the cost is going to be passed on no matter what it is. So
Mhm.
I think that was the suggestion of the finance committee, and trying to think through all the logistics of it. But I think what I'd like to have in hand to take to the board tomorrow is, does the tech committee agree with buying the first 1,000 and then see how we do? Or are we saying buy 5,000? And I think the finance committee then would come back and go, hey, wait a minute, where's this money coming from up front? Why don't we do the 1,000? I would add one other data point, and I'm sorry, Breck, I said I wasn't going to talk too much.
It's okay.
One other data point, that the sample size of usage was taken during the snowbird season, not in the middle of summer. So I would take the data that Tom compiled with that 7,000 number and feel pretty good that that's definitely the high watermark for now as a community. So What do you want me to take to the board as a recommendation from the tech committee tomorrow night? I think is the thing where I think that's the real question on the table.
And I'm in favor of proceeding forward with at least a sample set of licenses to at least pilot it, and so we can see what kind of adoption we can get. So if the rest of the committee wants to hold a formal vote on this, or just kind of not in agreement or in disagreement, that's fine.
And you're saying 1,000, is that what you're saying, Brett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with 1,000. And if you were going to charge the residents, I mean, the savings aren't that much, and like $2 per piece. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, even if we buy 1,000 and then later we buy 5,000, or even in 1,000 increments. I mean, if we charge like $12 or $13 per unit, I don't think that's an issue.
Okay.
So the remaining and really this is something that Finance Committee and you guys should be dealing with, Bill, but the question of when new residents come and those new residents are issued a card, are we going to, and that card is free, are we going to now charge them $12, or are we going to give them this license?
The indication of the direction of the board so far is that the digital ID is an over and above for the resident. We would not issue a digital only ID to a new resident. All residents will have a card. If they want to have the digital, it's an over and above. That's kind of the direction we're going, because one of the things we still haven't solved with the digital ID is photos tied to the ID.
Yep.
So I still think we're going to need, even though you should be able to badge in at an event with a handheld reader. And Dom, I guess that's a question. How is that process looking? The handheld readers for outdoor events for?
So there's two options that I'm researched, and we can do like Disney has. We get those podiums and a portable controller with a Wi-Fi connection back to the main brain, and we have these portable stanchions that sit out there, and we could just scan them and have those lights turn green, and they're good to go in, type of thing. Then there's the other ones where my phone, as you saw in our last meeting, I have the command center application on my cell phone, and I use that to scan the ID and take a look and validate who you are. And it'll work with not only digital, it'll also work with ID cards. So that's the option we're going with. There was a product that Gallagher is using, but it's very expensive for the amount of times we would use it for events. It's not worth it. The Command Center app is I think the best option for us, but without actually having either devices as a test to play with. We don't have an R&D department here so that we can buy stuff or borrow things for 30 days to 90 days to demo it and see how we can make it work. We just don't have that facility at the moment, especially since we don't have actual town hall home to test things with. But as soon as I can get more information on the portable piece, then we can kind of come up with an idea, because we'll need to go to a third-party vendor to build it for us. But as soon as I can get more technical aspects of what we need and how much it costs to create just the Gallagher side of it, not counting the podiums and the cabling and the things like that we need for it to make it useful at an event, that will be required first, so I can gain, if it's even feasible, for the amount of money that we might have to spend, because you're talking about having a a controller, which in itself I think is about $2,000. Then 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 readers with with the podiums. We're talking about maybe 10 grand or more for something like this to be done. But without actual numbers, I'm just estimating it at that price at that moment.
Dom, have we kind of already discussed the item 6, the digital ID decision with the board? Have we technically already covered that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. All right, so regarding the digital IDs, sounds like we need to get some more information on these additional appliances potentially, Dom, so probably.
This is a different part for the events, correct?
Yeah.
I do have the solution for, spot checking residents at the pools and stuff like that. But as a side note for the digital IDs, or usage of our amenities, maybe this is a bigger thing that it should be looked at, referencing how often our amenities are used. Maybe there's something that comms would have to do, some sort of marketing just to get residents to use our facilities. Because every so often you see more people outside of our facilities trying to get into our facilities instead of our own people who are living in our facilities. Sorry, in our areas to use our facilities. If that made sense.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any additional comments regarding this topic, or sounds like we're gonna have to have some follow-on conversation still, so. All right. So we'll
But
go
it's
ahead and move
gonna-
on. Go ahead, Bill.
It's gonna go to the workshop tomorrow in its present form, right? I think what you're saying is we can't remove it from the agenda as a topic to talk about, but in terms of going for the 1,000 licenses, it's gonna go to the workshop tomorrow. Question.
Correct.
If you all,
Yeah, I
that,
think,
if that is your suggestion as the tech committee, I think that is the second suggestion as the finance committee. We'll have talked about it in the workshop and then we could vote on it at the next board meeting.
yes, I think the three of us all agreed that we believe that that's the recommended course of action, so.
Cool.
All right. All right, so we're coming back to committee comment section. So there was a discussion about introducing a possible resolution for the board to consider about potentially the idea of should there be any kind of review process for relating to the purchase of significant IT equipment. And I know there was kind of some conversations that were going on behind the scenes, or so I wanted to open this topic back up because Tom, I know you have some strong thoughts on this, and Bill, you and I talked, and you have some thoughts and concerns too. So I just wanted to make sure that we discuss this as a committee. I'm not proposing that we officially make a decision for this on this topic. This is not something that needs to happen right away, but I just wanted to continue the conversation going. So Bill or Tom and Bill, if you guys have any thoughts, go ahead.
I would certainly be interested in hearing our board liaison's view on this. What's he think?
I think the concept that equipment that is of significant cost and significant security requires an extra degree of care when selecting, purchasing, not operating, but selecting and purchasing, because those decisions you're going to live with for quite a while. So I think my recommendation is that Mr. Hull and Mr. Diorsa get together and have another conversation and talk through what is proposed. I think that's where I would suggest we take it. for now.
I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't know if you had a chance to review last month's discussion on this topic. At that meeting, my takeaway from that was Dom was in agreement in principle that this is something we should look at. It isn't, to be clear, it isn't an approval process. It's a review process. The board and management is free to do whatever they want regardless. And so this proposed resolution that would be a board resolution, not a committee resolution, would state that things like you just described, major changes in direction should be looked at by the committee. The committee doesn't have to approve it. I think Dom has made it pretty clear just in this meeting that we're an advisory group. And if you look at the charter, it's pretty clear that we're an advisory group to the board. So it doesn't have, if you want to say force of law, where we would have to approve anything. They could proceed on their own accord. We would just, it would just not have our endorsement if the board would want it. That's all that I was saying. And I personally, I don't, having looked at the charter for what a committee does, I think we just have to back up a little bit and understand how a committee is formed. In theory, every person in this room has been vetted for some sort of technical expertise. We're not just people off the street. Our charter, the way I see it, is to be an advisory group to the board and work with management and collaborate. I fully agree, it's a collaborative process, but we work to advise the board who are, in general, you're an exception to the rule. In general, most board members are not technical, but now Eric is very technical. But I would say other board members are not at all. And they look to us as theoretically, in theory, experts in some domain to give them advice on how to proceed. So I see this as 100% within the scope of the charter completely, that this is what we would do. It's not a subservient group. A group that's subservient to management. It's a group that collaborates with management. Collaboration suggests that we work as partners, not as in a hierarchical form at all. So after last week's discussion, where I thought my read on it, we go back and listen again. I thought Dom was in agreement that this is something that we should be aware of and have some review process, and that was the purpose of the resolution that the board would adopt. I'm totally okay with this committee saying, hey, you know what? This is not our purview. This is not our thing. Our thing is to basically review whatever management is doing and nod and basically nod or not nod. It doesn't make a difference. So, I don't see that as the charter of the technology committee. I wonder why we would go through the vetting process if that was the case. So that's my position on it. But I'm a team player, and coming out of the corporate world, I'm used to being voted down. So I'm completely okay with the whole concept dying and not going to the board. I just wonder how the board would know that with assurances that they're getting that whatever's happening in technology is happening after a review by the group of people they've asked to be experts and give them advice.
Sure, and I'm in complete agreement with your thoughts there, Tom, and I support it as well. I was having a conversation with Bill earlier, and the topic of how the finance committee sort of works and how the finance committee typically tends to dictate to, I'm not sure who they tell to, but they make recommendations on specific T-bills to purchase and at what rate. So there is some kind of pre-existing agreement or operations there where that committee, has probably, perhaps oversized capabilities. And maybe we need to look at how that committee's charter is worded. Maybe there's some kind of special provisions in there that allow for that, just so that, we're not overstepping our authority. But I agree that I don't think that we should necessarily table this. To Dominic, I want to make sure that we want to completely collaborate with you, and we don't want to make this like an adversarial or kind of situation. So,
Yeah, I mean, in that last meeting, I was in agreement in the sense of trying to understand and work with creating a life cycle style design where, everything ages. We need to change. We need to stay up to date with equipment and technologies. I know that there was the factor of a governmental entity. That's long story, keeping it short. The purpose of my conversation of last time was trying to understand, not to not to spend people's money, because it's the residents' money, and trying to create, from my experience, your experience, a proper life cycle for all the equipment that we're using today. Servers, things like that operationally, that I should have say on that side, but things that are out in public, the cameras, things like that, they last longer. My idea would be, hey, 3 to 5 years, but it's not my money. Corporate wise, I would make the recommendation, and obviously finance in this case would be Bill Long's team saying, no way, not doing it every 3 years. But with people who have better or more security background and equipment and the camera world, things like that, would like to come up with a proper document for a life cycle policy. I wasn't looking for referendums or anything like that, but more of a policy document that we can come up together, that management and the board, or PROA, everyone, meaning all committees, says, well, okay, here's our technology standpoint. We're looking at it and we're going to upgrade technology throughout Celebration, depending on the aspect, every 5 years, every 10 years, depending on what that technology might be. So if we're looking at, say, for instance, I don't know, let's put it as a like an IoT product, controlling light bulbs, that kind of product. That product can probably stay around for 10 years until something better comes along and has better, maybe AI intuitive now. Now we got to change it. Maybe we change the product every 10 years. Computers or digital display screens. This is something that's out in the public, where people will have displays for notices, advertisement, things that we're looking to put out today. That's been put on the back burner because too many things to do. But that would be say, okay, well, how often do we want to change or re-look at this technology for digital displays? Do we move on with something new? How often do we do that? That's what I was looking for. Some, help with guidance on helping me create a good policy showing that, hey, between management and the residents, we've come up with this type of policy for technology, so that finances department can take a look at and say, okay, well, every so often we need to bump up some more money for whatever technology that might have to change. So
sure.
that they know ahead of time that their wallets are going to be picked.
Sure. And that sounds great, Dom. So why don't we, I guess, agree to collectively take an action item between you, me, and Tom, at least, to continue that discussion on developing that policy, and see if we can meet in the middle and try to incorporate some of the kind of concerns that Tom has that we were thinking that could be addressed by the resolution. And then maybe also consider, what special authorities like the finance committee has, and see if we can kind of maybe incorporate anything like that, similar language, so that, you know, everyone here can be happy with, you know, the end result. So, okay. Tom, do you, is that, yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Are there any other comments that anyone on the committee would like to make? All right. So item 6, Dominic, you said that you believe we kind of covered that. Still, is that still the case?
Yeah, for the digital decision is with the board. Basically, it's just it's a comment saying the board has it and they want our input. And they wanted it for this meeting coming up, so for this Wednesday. So I think we made it. It's 1,000 IDs, trial it, see where it goes.
Agreed. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item, previous action items. So I'm not sure I remember what item A is, so can you fill us in on that again?
That was for talking to the committees, other committees, and try to get them to come to these events, say at Artisan Park, and have these brainstorming sessions with each committee. So that was provided in that email last week. So you should all have them. They're just pretty much group emails that they'll all receive it, and hopefully they'll respond back when you email them. That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. The next item was for me to talk to Bill about the sunsetting of the emails. I think Bill's going to introduce that to the workshop tomorrow, and we'll get additional information. So I think we could probably move on from that item. Okay.
Dom, are you going to be in the meeting tomorrow? Are you going to be there?
They want me to discuss the IDs and the costing and the MSA
Okay.
fees.
I would suggest you talk on this topic too. We'll make sure we get both of them.
What time is the meeting tomorrow? Just because I think I might want to
6.
attend to 6. Okay.
Yeah, 6 at Heritage Hall.
Okay.
No, Jones
No.
Room.
Jones Room.
Mm-hmm. Heritage
Where's
is
the
being used by the camp. Unless you want to hang around with the little kids.
Across from the pool.
Tom, where's the Jones Room?
Across from the across from the pool.
Over at Lakeside?
At the
Yes.
pool, yeah. Right across from the pool.
Okay.
Well, I would have been late to that meeting.
All right. So the last item, item C, other actions to be handled by management.
The life cycle proposal, that's pretty much what we discussed now. We can, I'll bring in the operational sides of things, and we can put in what we decide for all the other type of technology stuff that we want to put in, and we'll stick it and make it a document, and we will live by it, I should say, for years to come. So this way we can all adhere to it, saying, hey, why hasn't Dom upgraded these things in the last 3 years? It's supposed to be due, type of thing. You can slap me on the wrist when not following our own policies.
Okay. Is that also anything about IT operational requirements?
That was previous actions. There aren't any really. We discussed them all, I believe, as we were going along.
All righty. All right. So it looks like we've covered all the action items. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but does anybody else have any thought? I'll reopen the comments to the committee again.
Daniel,
All right.
are you aware of that all these meetings are on YouTube, and you can go and review any meeting from the past on our technology committee, if there's anything that you think we may have discussed in the past that you might find interest in, would like to review, it's there.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I reviewed last meeting because I didn't receive the email and I thought that was a week before. I just got done to give me access to Teams. Hopefully we'll set up everything now, so I won't miss any more meetings. Sorry for the last one.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for joining us this time, Daniel. Sorry you missed the last meeting. So
Yeah, we need
Andrew
to
said-
talk to
Andrew-
Andrew Dunn.
Well,
Sorry, not
Andrew's-
Andrew Dunn. Andrew
Okay,
Cook.
Andrew said he was not aware of that there was a meeting. Now that may be an oversight on his part. I don't know, but there's always been some uncertainty about, and I don't know why for sure, of when the meeting is. Last week was particularly confused, last time was particularly confusing because it was delayed a week. So, had I not asked a dumb question like, is there a tech committee meeting today? I would have been on the wrong meeting also. And I think that's a good reason why Andrew didn't know about the meeting. Daniel wasn't at the meeting. We had a hard time getting a quorum last week, if you recall.
Yeah.
It seems
But-
like we need to somehow refresh this invite, Dom. Get a refresh to the invite so that it gets on everybody's calendar.
It is on everyone's calendar. It's also in the celebration website.
Yeah,
Trying to get to
if
it.
you go looking for it, yeah, you'll find it there.
Yeah, it's all there. The team's invite is in there as well. Trying to grab my screen so that we can. So celebration.
Yeah, I'll put that. The calendar looks like there is the meeting, but I don't think there is a. Oh, there is the link for
Oh,
Teams.
wrong. That's a wrong celebration site. Come on. Sometime today.
Yeah, it's not fast.
Yes, and hence one of the reasons why I wanted to upgrade this too. So community. I hit too quickly. Where is meeting information? Are we going to play this game right now? Yes, we are.
Well, this is every week now. Did you change the policy that I have to log into my email every week now? Is that
Yeah,
a
that
new-
they
a
just for
change?
security reasons they've well actually no, this was done before even me.
Who's they? Who's the they? I thought the they was you.
This was before me. I wasn't here. I wasn't here when the password thing was required.
No, I don't
I
mean.
think that's a mistake because some other pages, it doesn't require you to log in. So it
Yeah,
might
I think
be-
for the calendar, because it has the meetings information, you need to sign in. And my program locked me out, so I need to go the long way.
No, I'm sorry. What no, I was actually addressing the email thing. I know this, you're on the website. This is the login of the website, but with respect to email, I'm now finding that I have to log in on every one of my devices every week. The login expires and
Oh, it's every 14 days.
okay. Is that a change?
That was a change from the system never asked for it before, which is not a good security policy. So it actually shouldn't be logging in, it should be requesting your MFA approval every 14 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Well, it requests you to log in and then there's a two-factor. You have to enter your password, so you have to remember what it is. Then it asks for the MFA, which is a variety of ways. It could be authenticator, it could be a text to your phone or whatever.
yeah.
It's a multi-step process to check your email.
Yep. It keeps you
Every time.
honest.
Or frustrated.
Exactly. It
Both.
definitely keeps me frustrated. Okay,
least you're
well,
not
listen,
doing
I'll
it daily
try.
like
I'll
me.
try to subscribe to the iCalendar and put that on my phone because I wouldn't, log in every week to check if the meetings changed or anything like that.
Yeah, normally the meetings for tech committee don't really change. It's mostly, the reason why we changed was because the board was just picked. And all new committees shouldn't meet until after the new board met. And then we can have our normal meeting. So it kind of threw things out of the whack for that last month. But this is the normal second Tuesday of every month is when the tech committee meets. And the only time it'll change is if it's in this meeting that we discuss that if we can change a date or whatever for reasons where we've had no one can meet because they traveling or whatnot, and we cannot make quorum, so we'll change the dates.
I think just as a friendly reminder, I might take it upon myself just to send some folks a reminder email like I did for Daniel today. So for next meeting. Okay, so it looks like we've covered everything, and we're just slightly over time. Don't want to hold everybody, so can I get a motion to adjourn this month's meeting? All right, thank you, Tom. Seconded. All right, so I guess meeting officially adjourned. So if anyone wants to stick around and continue talking, I guess we can. And Dominic.